Hi, everybody. It's Damien, the creator of Genesis, the world's first time travel game. And I want to thank you very much for participating in the game, to all the players out there. Today, we're going to talk about the training on the basics that will help new players understand how to play, how to implement in the game itself and in the game of life, of course, right? And also enjoy the world's first time travel game. So, setup and getting started is easy. First thing you do is you choose your immortal and deck. So each player selects an immortal to represent them in the game. You have 10 immortals that you can actually play. The other three immortals are actually universal, and you can use their cards within your deck to assist you and provide more serendipity and novelty with each deck. So there are 13 total immortals. Now, with the chosen immortal, each player uses a corresponding 33 card deck. Now, these 33 card decks, like these, okay, they can be tailored or pre selected, of course, because what we kind of want to see happen in the future is we want people to be able to go on the website and submit, their hands that are, their decks that are really cool. That way will help other people learn how to play because you'll find that these cards are actually corresponding with time and the elements. Number two is the initial hand setup. Now, player one and player two each draw three cards from their deck without showing them to their opponent. And then what they'll do is actually, player two, one thing I want to mention is player two actually receives what's called a money card. Okay. And this is a Neptune card, and they get this at the start of the game. So this card represents one Earth, and one Earth is actually the resource used to play cards. You'll notice that in this corner here, this is your Earth, this is your air, this is your water, and this is your fire. So player two would get that card. So player two will have four cards, and player one would have three cards. Okay, now what happens next is each player has the option to shuffle any or all of their drawn cards back into the deck, right? So they'll look, they'll see which ones they want to mulligan. We'll mulligan this one, right? So we'll keep these two. So we'll only draw one because we want to make sure we still have the same amount of cards in our opening hand. On this Neptune, we definitely want to keep that one, and of course we got to keep the money card. That's important in the opening hand. So they're going to mulligan one. So there should be four cards in that one. So now let's go over the game mechanics. What you'll see here on the game mechanics is that there are four elements in each corner of the card. Earth is the green circle. Now, Earth is the resource needed to play cards. So, Earth here in the upper left hand corner is the green circle. This resource is needed to play cards. Like I said, it increases by one each turn, starting at one Earth on turn one up to a maximum of 12 Earth. Okay, so when you start the game, turn one, you only have one Earth to spend. So if you have a card that costs two or three Earth, you can't really play that unless, of course, you use what we talked about, the money card, right? So air is the yellow circle, and air represents the damage a card can deal in an attack. Okay. Water, the blue circle, indicates the amount of damage a card can withstand before being defeated. Now that number does decrease once it's hit. Unlike air, when air strikes, it stays the same, unless of course you have a card mechanic that tells it otherwise. But when water is reduced, what happens is that water stays reduced through the turns, unless of course you have a mechanic or a card or ability that changes that outcome. So just wanted to share that with you. So at the end of your turn, it does not go back to full health. It stays exactly because this game has math in it as well. So that's how water works. Now, fire is the red circle in the lower right-hand corner. Now, this one's not generally used in normal gameplay because these are really experience points, and they're primarily used in tournaments and what I like to call treasure hunts. And then the last one is the immortal power. Now, each immortal has a unique and special power, and these cost two Earth to use and can only be activated once per turn. Of course, unless there's a mechanic that does otherwise, right? But immortal powers are very important because they're unique. Every one of them has a unique one. And they're designed that way to be more in harmony, I want to say, with the decks that are generally supportive of them. So it's important that you use the mortal power wisely. Let's go into playing the game. So turn one, starting the game, right? Player one draws a card, right? So player one draws a card. Okay, now they'll have four cards in their hand, and they have only one earth to spend. Now, they can play any card that costs one earth or less. So, once a character card is played, it can only occupy six spaces that are available in front of the player, unless, of course, it's an artifact, weapon, or secret. Now, these are, artifacts are one time plays. Weapons are used, they're actually attached to the Immortal, so they don't take up a space of the six available spaces in front of you. And secrets are attached to the Immortal as well, so you don't have to utilize a space for a secret. Okay, so that's the difference. But characters, archons, bosses, if a character is played on turn one, that character may, on the following turn, either strike a character that player two has in play or directly attack player two's immortal. Now remember, the object of the game is to reduce the immortal from 33 resources down to 0, so it's important that you pay attention to these characters because most characters have cooldown. If they don't have cooldowns, because they have priority, and that allows them to strike upon play. Then player one ends their turn. So player two now draws a card. Okay, so they draw a card in their hand, and they still have the money card, right? Because it's still turn one for them, and they have one earth to spend, correct? Because it's still turn one. Turn two, they'll have two earth. Turn three, they'll have three earth. Now they can use their money card to gain an additional earth, which allows them to play cards costing up to two earth. Okay, so player two plays their chosen cards now, and then player two ends their turn. Turn two, building momentum, right? We want to build momentum here. Player one draws a card. Okay. Now back to four cards in their hand if they've played one card on turn one. Now they have two earth to spend. They can play any combination of cards totaling two earth. Now you can spend your earth anytime during your turn, by the way. Then player one decides to remove player two's card, play their turn two card, and then end their turn. Next, player two gets a turn at revenge and to turn the tide. Winning the game. Reduce your opponent's immortal from 33 resources down to 0. Now you have to do this while navigating through all of their obstacles and their characters, their artifacts. They'll have weapons and secrets. Plus, you have to contend with their talents and skills. And you do all this before they do the same thing to you. The last thing I want to say is you want to stay sharp, right? You want to strategize your moves and manage your resources wisely, just like real life. Every decision can alter the course of history. With Genesis, the world's first time travel game, may your choices be wise and your journey through time and the elements victorious.